Hi everybody, this video will be on the marketing 4Ps, which is a topic that many students struggle with in terms of answering questions. So this will essentially demonstrate to you how to answer questions when it comes to the marketing 4Ps. So first of all, we are going to really quickly recap the 4Ps because I think due to how there is just a page or two in the manual, I think students tend to overlook this topic. But it's quite an important topic in marketing, and in fact, if you are thinking of doing marketing for your degree, it is a very foundational thing that you have to understand. Alright, so jumping into the marketing 4Ps, the first P, product. So product is really simple. Normally students are able to understand what product is, so it's pretty obvious, right? It's anything that is offered to a market. So basically anything that you sell, right? For attention, acquisition, use, or consumption, essentially this all means pretty much the same thing. But of course the product must be able to satisfy a want or need within the market, otherwise nobody's gonna buy it, okay? So let's just take a look at how to understand product from a marketing point of view. So you normally have to mention what types of product the business sells, and in a way, how is their product unique from others. Okay, so you can see here, I'm giving two examples throughout this whole video. Coca-Cola has the widest portfolio in beverage industry, comprising of 3,300 products. So here we know how many products they have, we know where they stand in the world. So these are some of their product categories. They have diet category, they have fruit juices, they have fruit drinks, water, energy drinks, tea, and coffee. But obviously what we all really know is their Coca-Cola, the drink, right? Right? So, but in actual fact, Coca-Cola is a huge company. Okay, so the second example that everyone's also familiar with is Starbucks. You can see here that Starbucks position themselves in the market by continuously innovating their products and delivering high quality coffee. So across the world, Starbucks has more than 1,000 different variants being offered to their customers. So in fact, like offering tea is actually something that is relatively recent for Starbucks. It's their way of diversifying their drinks, and it was actually something that they thought of when they expanded into India, because Indians, I think in India, tea is quite a staple when it comes to the beverages that they choose. Alright, so what they are selling is really the concept of a comfortable, like a cafe bar, and high quality coffee. Right, so that is the product, how we see Starbucks in terms of their product. Right, next, price. So price is how much the customers are paying, so the amount of money being charged for a product or a service. Okay, or it's also what the consumers perceive as value in exchange for the benefits. So these benefits can be emotional benefits, can be functional benefits of using the product and service, which also makes sense why sometimes certain products and services, the cost to produce is actually really low, but due to the perceived benefits, for example like the iPhone, the perceived benefit of being cool, being up to date, because of that, the business can actually charge for a higher price. Alright, so let's look at the same two brands, Coca-Cola's pricing. So here you have a few examples of how you may price your products differently. So it's also part of marketing. So Coca-Cola's pricing is done according to the market and geographic segment. So each sub-brand of Coca-Cola has a different pricing strategy. So very obviously, Pepsi is a direct competitor to Coke in terms of their fizzy drinks. So the prices do reflect, Coca-Cola cannot price itself way higher than Pepsi, because if that's the case, most people will just essentially just drink Pepsi, because in terms of taste, some of you may argue, but in terms of taste, they're not that much different. Okay, alright, so looking at Starbucks. So Starbucks, as we already discussed in terms of product, they try to offer the best quality coffee beans. Also, they like to position themselves, and they are really invested in making sure that their staff is trained efficiently and effectively. So because of this experience that they are offering, it's definitely reflected in their price, because many of us, we go to Starbucks and we actually spend a lot of time there using their internet, and they tend to try to provide comfortable chairs and tables. So a Starbucks coffee obviously is not cheap, so because of that we call this a premium pricing strategy. And so we can see here how two different brands price themselves differently. Right? So you may also talk about how prices sometimes depends on which country the business is expanding into and how much discretionary income and spending the consumers have, whether or not it's a developing country or a developed country, and whether or not they have high purchasing power. Okay? Alright, so that's price. Moving on to place. Okay, now guys, listen very carefully. In exams, students like to answer this way. Place is where the business sells its product. That is wrong, okay? So place is not as simple as that. It's not just where the product is being sold. It's actually the network of agencies and institutions which together they will perform all the activities required to accomplish the marketing task. So the marketing task here is about getting the product to the customers from the very first part of the supply chain, which could be production, to the very end, which is to the end consumers. Okay? So this means that we are talking about the distribution channels, which includes wholesalers, retailers, supermarkets, direct selling, okay, whatever it is. So I'm giving here the two examples. So Coca-Cola follows the FMCG distribution pattern. FMCG is fast-moving consumer goods. So they are very, very effective because they see themselves as consumer goods that are fast-moving. So Coca-Cola's sales is very quick. So they have to be very effective in how they distribute. And due to how widely they have distributed themselves, they actually almost eliminated all the small and middle-level players in the market. In fact, in India, they have captured even the rural market by extensive distribution into all these rural places. So it's really interesting because let's say like in Malaysia or even in like let's say in poorer countries, let's say you were to go into the rural areas, some of these kids, they cannot even write A, B, C, D. They don't even know their alphabets and words. But the moment you show them Coca-Cola's logo, they can tell you exactly what Coca-Cola is. That is how effective their distribution and marketing has been. Alright? Again, how about Starbucks? So actually Starbucks, they are using more than one channel of distribution. So how, you can see here, place is about getting the product to the customers. So how do they get their products to the customers? Is through a variety of ways. So obviously one is through their stores. The Starbucks that you and I know, sitting at the Starbucks cafe and ordering a Starbucks coffee. That is a direct retail system that is owned by their own business. They also import coffee beans. They process it, and you can see that in these Starbucks cafes, they actually sell it as their brand name, right? I think some supermarkets sell that as well. They also have agreements with some hotels, airlines, and office suppliers. So maybe these people will actually buy Starbucks coffees or the bottles even in bulk and use it for their business purposes. Okay, so this is what it means by place. It's not where it's being sold, but how it gets from the business to the customer. So it's about the distribution channel. Okay, next, promotion. Okay, so promotion is not as simple as just advertising. Or some students like to write things like promotion is offering discount, or promotion is buy one free one. So it's not as simplistic as that. It's actually the company's total promotion mix. So yes, it can consist of those things that you think of, like advertising, sales promotion, public relations, personal selling, etc. But what's the point of this? You have to include in your definition. The point of all of this is to persuasively communicate customers of the value that they are offering and to build customer relationships. Alright, so sometimes you do not just advertise yourself to sell. You advertise yourself so customers always remember you. So this is called building awareness. So it's part of customer relationship building. Okay, now let's take a look. Coca-Cola has various advertising and promotional strategies, obviously. I think the one that we are most aware of are usually how fun their advertisements are, the ones that you watch online and on the TV. Okay, so you can see that this is what we call value-based advertising. So they're obviously using emotional benefits of like appearing as a fun product or very like communal product. So normally you see people having fun in Coca-Cola videos, and usually they are bonding with their community, etc. Okay, so that is their promotion. Obviously they have there's definitely a lot more types of things that they do, but this is one of the main ones. Now Starbucks. Starbucks normally they do not push advertising as much as Coca-Cola or other big brands, but they are a little bit more into finding the best places for the outlets. So they're a bit more about location, and the moment they do open, they normally organize huge events. They also have other promotional activities, which is selling, for example, like selling their merchandises, and the fact that you get gift cards. You have gift cards, you also have membership cards. These are the ways that Starbucks promote themselves, and you will realize that Starbucks depend heavily on what we call word of mouth promotion. Means you have a good experience in Starbucks, you invite your friend to Starbucks, you pass it on to other people that Starbucks has given you a good impression. Alright, so that is, Starbucks also focus a lot on customer relationship, which is why they personalize your drinks according to your name. Okay, so now this is the 4 P's that we are focusing on. I will not go into the other P's which are related to service, but you should be able to understand them on your own. So I'm focusing on the 4 P's. Now I want to show you a exam question from FE in 2017. Alright, so this is a case study. This is part of the section B questions. So here we are talking about a South Australian jam and condiments maker. I'm sure many of you have heard of this brand. It's called Berenberg. So Berenberg has been selling jams to Indonesia since 1993. Today, Indonesia is actually Berenberg's 3rd largest export market behind Japan and China. So they are very important to this exporter. So how did it first enter Indonesia? It was through miniature jars of jam sold to 5-star hotels. So it's very specific. It was already exporting to Singapore, Japan and Hong Kong when it struck an agreement with Jakarta food distributor Masuya Grana Trikencaya. Alright? So they have sort of like a representative in Indonesia. Now, the managing director, Anthony Page, says Indonesia was chosen with a specific market in mind. They are actually targeting their own people, Australians who are holidaying in Bali. And if you guys don't already know, Bali is a very, very touristy spot. Okay, so for the small family-owned business, referring to Berenberg, niche exports make more sense than mass market brand building. So they're not looking to market to the entire Indonesia. They are targeting very specific groups of people. So by earmarking Australians in a popular Indonesian resort destination, the brand was already on familiar ground. They're kind of just selling to their own people who are overseas. So this is what they say. So they want to provide Australian tourists with a taste of home. And for others, they are just offering a premium exported product. So for other guests. So the target is hotel holidays, people going there for holidays. So they are planning, of course, on further inroads into Indonesia. Since Indonesia is now growing and booming in foreign tourism, it means that there will be more hotels and resorts who are able to buy their products. So Indonesia is also expanding. There's also a growing middle class, and because of that, obviously, there's an appetite for premium food products. And because of that, Berenberg has made themselves available in the supermarkets. Alright, so this is the case. Now, let's say the question asks about the 4 P's of Berenberg. I'm gonna show you guys now how you are meant to answer it. Okay, so question: discuss 4 elements of marketing mix that Berenberg would have considered. Okay, so obviously these are your 4 P's. So how to answer questions like this? Always define and identify what are the types of products Berenberg have considered when they are expanding into Indonesia. So that's your answer. Second is price. Again, define. So you can see here, Indonesia is growing as mentioned in the case. So they do have an appetite for premium food products, and they're also selling to their own Australian tourists. It's likely that Berenberg has priced themselves quite premiumly, as people that they are targeting, at least in Indonesia, are willing to pay a high price. So that's how you answer this question. Now promotion, there is no way you can get marks without definition. So then you apply, what do you think is the promotion that Berenberg employed in Indonesia? So it's pretty obvious that they are targeting niche exports rather than mass marketing as mentioned in the case. You may want to further elaborate because this is a bit kind of like just copy and paste, right? So you may want to explain to show you understand what it means. You can talk about how Berenberg is just targeting a very small pocket of people instead of Indonesia as a whole. They are targeting Australians who are holidaying in Bali especially, and also they are also targeting guests, and they are promoting themselves as a premium imported product from a very developed country like Australia. Alright, so that's promotion. Now please do not write please do not just write hotels, okay? Again, place is about getting the products to the customers. So you should mention that how do they get Berenberg's products from Australia to Indonesia? First of all, they have a food distributor in Jakarta called Masuya Grana Chikencaya. Through this food distributor, they are able to place their products in the hotels and supermarkets, which act as sort of like which are the niche markets that they're targeting, and from there they are essentially the product ends up with end customers who happen to be Australian tourists and other people on holiday. Alright, so this is how you should explain place. Okay, so if you can see here, it's very clear. Let me just really quickly type it out. So for WAIS exams, what do you do? First of all, you should define, you can never get away from it, and identify the P related. Alright, like what we did just now. So you define the marketing P and identify what is the P in the case, and further elaboration to get your full marks. Okay, so if you just define without any relationship to the case, you probably just get half a mark. Okay, so that's all about the marketing 4 Ps. Thank you.